Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of the Empowered Man podcast. It's Father's Day. Some people call it Birthing Parents Day, but we're going to call it Father's Day because we are fathers. Happy Father's Day, everyone. The Empowered Man podcast coming to you live from the free state of Florida. It's your boy, Mikey G. The guy I'm staring across right now is Super Dad. He was originally cast to be the Tooth Fairy, but then they took the rock because Greg was busy that day. He is the ultimate father, the ultimate friend. He's the ultimate parent. He's the ultimate champion of the Second Amendment. He is the ultimate warrior. He is Greg A. Tadora, number one. Sir, happy Father's Day, my friend.
Thank you, sir. And happy Father's Day to every father out there that's doing their thing with their kids. It's all good, my man. And yeah, thanks a lot, Rock. You took my shit, man.
And
Damn
happy
that
Father's
guy.
Day to the deadbeat dads out there.
Plenty of them.
Yeah, it's a shame. Hopefully, and if there are people out there that are distant from their parents, it might not be a bad idea to pick up the phone, tell your dad happy Father's Day, you love him.
That's it.
Because life is short, life is very fragile, and really, when we think about it, holding a grudge is a waste of time.
You don't want that regret.
No.
Can't get that back.
You cannot. I absolutely agree. Definitely want to give a shout out to our EMTs, our first responders, our policemen and women, our firemen and women. Thank you for what you do for our local municipalities, our cities, our counties, and our towns for keeping us safe and sound.
Absolutely. And thank you to all the military personnel, their families out there. Stay safe. Be careful. We really appreciate what you do every day, the ultimate sacrifice. I also want to shout out to Boundless Nutrition and our girl Amanda. She's got a big block party next Saturday at her store. It's a big deal. They throw a huge party every year, and there's different vendors. And you know me and my supplements. I'm going to stop on by and get some good stuff, Mike. So that'll be fun.
Well, what we could do is we could go together. I could be the before, you could be the after.
Yes, there you go. It's a good idea.
We used to do that back in the day anyway, so why is 25 years later any different? And I'll give a shout out to a little cheap plug. Oh, right on. Collar and Elbow Clothing.
Yeah.
That supplies some of my t-shirts. Go to collarandelbow.com for all you marks out there that have never taken a body slam or a suplex nor administered one, but want to be a wrestler and tell your friends that you know how to do this, and that. Collar and Elbow was where it's at. Only kidding. We love marks. Without our marks. And happy belated birthday to our favorite president, Donald J. Trump.
First of all, happy belated birthday to you know who. You. Someone had a birthday this week, and it was a big one. Welcome to the club, sir.
That's right. I am halfway to 92. Ladies, I got Social Security coming.
Listen, never thought we'd make it this far, so cheers to that.
It's funny. I thank you. And also, I sent someone that clip about the Jaeger bombs that you sent me. And I sent it to my friend, and we were talking through text. And it's like her response was barf, right?
Oh, no, love them.
And then I said, well, the Irish car bombs, when I can't even smell one. I can't even smell a Guinness without throwing up.
You got me into them.
Well, yeah. And now I think about it. I'm like, my insides.
For all the people that don't know what those are, just tell them real quick what it is.
Well, it is a Guinness, a pint of Guinness, whatever it is. You fill Guinness, a shot of Jameson and Bailey's Irish Cream. You drop it in, take a deep breath, say your prayers, and chug it.
Line them up. I'll do 10 in a row right now.
It's actually not that bad. The Bailey's Irish Cream
tastes great.
And if you really want to go wild, I did a car bomb with 151 in it.
I'll get you, man.
And I almost got stabbed. Thank God for Phil. Or else I might be singing a different tune right now.
Tied up with Phil saves the day.
He sure did, boy. I heard that story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, wherever you do an Irish car bomb, make sure it's in a safe surrounding.
Yes, and let me know because I'll do some with you. I love them, man. You got me on them.
Well, make sure your friends are twice your size too when you do decide to do them. But anyway, that's all in the past.
Yes.
Now I enjoy my hometown of Poughkeepsie, New York mug with my Adams Fraker Farms dark roast coffee.
All right.
So you
Yeah, all right.
can, instead of finding me in the club, bottle full of bub, mama, I got what you need. Now I'm into, let me see those beans, ma. That's my new line. Let me see those beans, ma.
I actually
Because
just ordered some Invader coffee, so I'm looking forward to that. I haven't had theirs in a while, so I want something different. I was gonna go with our boys, but I didn't do it yet. Stock's up a little bit.
yeah, and it figures it would go up when I'd sell
It's still
it.
not good, but it's up, and I'm just gonna hold it forever.
Yeah, as you should, because you never know. I
Yeah.
mean, you never know.
Yep.
Um, anyhow,
Anyway. Anyway.
celebrating our week, right, with my
Mm-hmm.
birthday, Flag Day, which still means something to some people.
Yep.
And, to be fair, whatever flag that you have, it's your right as an American to display it. People like Greg and I, we grew up with the American flag because we do live in America. We celebrated Flag
Mm-hmm.
Day. We
Mm-hmm.
celebrated President Trump's birthday. And now we're celebrating Father's Day. So it's a great week, right? But Father's Day is something that needs to be more celebrated. We celebrate our mothers because obviously,
Mm-hmm.
without our mothers, we wouldn't be here. Some people think that men can have babies, and that's your prerogative to think that way. But
Mm-hmm.
Greg and I think that women are the only ones that deliver babies, but our fathers, especially for guys, it's extremely important. There's something to be said about a mother and a son. That's a very special relationship. We both have that with our mothers. And I think it's something to be said with a father and a son, father and a daughter. There's a very uniqueness, and we can just speak from a guy's perspective about, what it is to be a dad. And Greg, you're the expert here, so I'm going to just start throwing you questions and what like
Ugh.
that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's go back to your upbringing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The relationship with your dad, you and I know it, but the people
Yeah.
don't know it. Tell us more about that relationship with your dad and how did that help shape you to become the man you are today?
Yeah. I had a great relationship with my dad. He was like super funny and goofy and very chill, unlike me. I'm my mom with there's like a long fuse, there's a short fuse, and then there's no fuse. My mom and I are on that end. We have no fuse at all. But he had a very long fuse. But when it was done, that was it. But so he was very patient, something I'm not also, and you can attest to that. And he was very mechanical, which is amazing to watch because he can take a car's engine apart, literally down to the last piece, and then put it all together, which I respected. He would always MacGyver something, rig something up, or if something broke, he'll fix it. And he would always make me watch him, like, oh, hand me this tool, hand me that. What he was doing was obviously like teaching me through osmosis and shit. And I was like, oh, I'd rather be playing with my friends or riding my bike. I don't want to do this. But fast forward, it paid dividends later on. Like, you know how I am now, which is, I don't even know how I know half the stuff that I do and know, but I think it's from that part of my life. And so it was a great like role model and teacher because he was always present and he worked like three jobs, owned his own business, was a principal of high school, like everything. But he was always there. He always went to all my events, whatever sport I was into, swimming or baseball or basketball, whatever. And he was always cool with my mom and always at dinner. Like it was just a good resource and a good rock. So it was a great example to have. And accountability was big. If you fuck up, take it. But if, and don't do it again. And it was just, it was all good. It was all good. I'm trying to be more patient like he was and more relaxed like he was at certain things. So,
I think that comes with age, though. I think
yeah.
if you look at where
Yeah.
you were a couple years ago, where you were
Yeah.
years before, and now,
Yep.
there's a certain type of maturity. They always say with age comes wisdom, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that rings true, especially in the
Yeah.
situation. Go back
Mm-hmm.
to do you have any memories of your grandfather?
Yeah. Um, and real quick, like my dad like rode
Yeah.
motorcycles. That's definitely where I got it from. And I remember I was little and he would come home from like motorcycle trips and I would rush outside and like beg him to take me down the block. And I was too small to go in the back, obviously. So he would put me on the gas tank in the front and tell me to hold the handlebars inside. And I put my Huff Giants football helmet on which wouldn't protect fucking anything. And he would go around the corner down the block. And I remember my mom used to get a little pissed, but I remember, he hit like, I don't know, 30 or 40 miles an hour. And I thought that was, it might have been like, it felt like 400 miles an hour as a little kid.
Right.
You're like, and I think that's why I love motorcycles. I got bit by the bug then. So, and then I remember like pulling in. He's like, "Don't tell your mom how fast we went." And like, of course, I'm like, "We went so fast." And she was like, "Really?" So I think that's where I got it from because it was awesome. I remember that like it was clear as day. But my grandfather, I remember he was very good at golf, and he was a semi-pro golf player. And but it's funny. I like golf. You like golf.
Mm.
Couldn't get. I've never. I honestly, I never played with my dad. I think I've played 2 or 3 times with my dad because his good friend played golf. My dad hated golf and just didn't like it. He rather do the mechanical stuff, the gearhead shit. But and my the other memory I have from my grandfather, he would always have like one of those old school like fedora hats. There was
Mm.
like a cigar inside of it always because he smoked cigars, but they were like the real shitty cigars. They did not smell good and brutal, man, brutal. That's yeah. So
That's interesting. That's interesting
yeah.
stuff. And now you see yourself as a dad and through
Hmm.
osmosis and watching your dad do stuff. Do you
Yeah.
think that still happens today? Do you still think fathers and sons have that bond where this like a son or a dad will take their child into, let's just say, you know, fixing a car or building something?
Hmm.
Because when we break down the stereotypes of, you said this in prior episodes about being the provider,
Yeah.
right? And doing this and doing that. Do you think that still happens where, fathers will let their sons watch them or help them do things, having that osmotic effect that happened with you? Do you think that
Yeah.
still occurs to this day?
Yeah, I think it definitely occurs. It's just, it's in my opinion from the area that I'm in, the Northeast here. I think it's less than it was because I think society has changed, men have changed, which is a whole other thing. They're out there for sure. Like I know a few that are awesome dads and hands on and trying to pass down that generational knowledge transfer. You know, but I think it's very limited now. It's not the big end of the funnel like when we were little. It's more the small end. There's more people are just more people are working now, which I'm not hating on working, but because there are parents out there that work a tremendous amount and they're there every day for their kids. It's a lot of the a lot of the guys are just absentee. That some of them don't even know where their kid's school is, and so you have that dynamic. So I think it's less. They're out there though. They're definitely out there.
Has parenting changed? Well, let me. It's a two-part question. Do you think parenting has changed? I know to go take it a little bit further in regards to that. You mentioned the absentee, and you mentioned that
Yeah.
there are more people out there. But do you think parenting has changed in general
Yeah, it has. I mean,
for the better or for the worse?
both maybe, but more bad just because, or worse. You and I don't know about you, but like I got yelled at or I got spanked if I did something and I never
Oh,
did it again, ever, because I didn't like that feeling or getting yelled at and I didn't do it again. You can't even like yell at kids anymore. And not that, and I'm not a big fan of that. There are other ways to get to a child than yelling.
no.
But I think the softening of the kids has led to this whole group of young adults that can't find their way out of a paper bag. They're lost. They're all about their feelings, which is
Yeah.
okay to a degree. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's not, but you still have to put it in gear. You have to get out there and get a job in society. And listen, I don't agree with everything society does either, but you have to be a contributing factor. And instead of just complaining all the time, why don't you try to make it better or go do something? And I think the the lack of discipline is is what's caused a lot of the softness. And kids nowadays are fast to be like, "Oh, you can't say that. I'm going to call, child protective services on you. I'm going to tell," I'm going to tell my teacher, and puts teachers in
Right.
a bad spot. And it opens the door legally where they have to report it. And now it's kicked down the line and it's a problem for nothing. So I think it's a dangerous game and a slippery slope where to discipline a kid. The kids need discipline. They need structure. They need discipline. I'm not a fan of parents being friends with their kids when they're young. When they're older, you can be friends. They need that structure and that guidance and that they need that little bit of fear so they don't mess up. Because one bad decision, I'm telling them now as they're young, one bad decision can change the entire trajectory of your life in a bad way.
100%.
One thing. So it's, yes, I think it's changed tremendously. And the phones is a real big problem, and the social media is a real big problem, and it's caused more anxiety and all those other bad things like, suicides and all that,
Yeah.
because we didn't have that when we were little. Yeah, we had kids that did that one-offs, but the pressure that they're under now is absolutely tremendous. I couldn't even imagine having to deal with what they deal with now. It's hard, and no kid should have that much pressure at a young age. They can't even be kids anymore.
Yeah, and especially with the outside forces and their sexuality and all this other type of stuff that,
Yeah,
that shouldn't be
yeah.
pushed upon them. But, and I agree with you as well. I think parenting has changed a lot. I know the two biggest things that my parents taught me, I mean, a lot, was work ethic and respect.
Mm-hmm.
I address a doctor by their doctor. In fact, this the other day, I met a doctor in Boca, and I called him by Doctor So and So. He's like, call me by my first name. He goes, I don't let my title, I don't let my title predicate my, how I introduce myself. Like, all right, but it was just something that small.
Yeah.
You respect people like
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Tador or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and then it's like when they said you can call me by your mom's first name or by then it was like okay, but you
Of
always showed
course.
that respect.
Absolutely.
Even when you like with someone's when you're a kid you meet someone's parents. So hello, Mrs. So and so.
Yeah.
Like we used to always do that. Never called them by their first name. I was like, oh, hey, Mrs. So and so. Like
Mm-hmm.
and the respect you have for the
Yeah.
sanctity and the institution of marriage or parent, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, you know what? I used to get spanked too, and it was
Yeah.
we all got it, and
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? I'm grateful for those spankings
Of
because
course.
you know um,
I think I lied once in my entire life, and I think my mom broke one of my sacred transformers. Remember those?
of course,
I think she threw it across the room. Yeah, I never lied again.
yeah,
Even if I did something bad, yeah, I did it. I didn't lie. It's not worth my toys being broken or anything. I will not do that again.
yeah.
Nope.
It's funny.
Nope.
I I reflect. I was a good kid, but I was also not good. But I also had a
Yeah.
lot of things I was holding inside that I couldn't get out. And so
Mm-hmm.
that outlet, and then my dad would come and even though my parents were split up, my dad would come and straighten me out a little bit
Yeah.
for the time being, and then I would go do
Mm-hmm.
it again. And and again, it's one of those things where like our parents don't have a playbook. Like you don't have a playbook. I don't have a
No.
playbook. Our parents don't have a playbook. And the biggest thing to anyone out there that's holding on to childhood trauma or some type of stuff, your parents did the best they could to give you a life
Mm-hmm.
they have.
Yeah.
Because nobody's prepared for fatherhood. Nobody's prepared for motherhood. I mean, you can't like take a course on how to be a mom. You can't take a
No.
course on how to be a dad.
You can read
It's
all the books
like,
in the world that can give you like little tips and tricks, but when you're sleep deprived, food deprived, fighting with your partner or disagreeing, and the kids are just pushing you, no one teaches that because you're in a real weird space and you're like the littlest thing. You have no patience and it's hard to stay calm. And but then again, they're little kids and they don't know,
they
and
don't
they're
know.
looking at you, so you can't overreact because that's a slippery slope there too. So it's
Yep.
like you're always on stage. You got to remind them like, okay, that's a bad, like, I don't want to come home from work in a bad mood with a temper, because they're going to see that, and that imprints in their brain, and it's like,
Sure.
no, daddy's happy no matter what. Like, I want them to know that. I don't want them to feel certain things. They don't have to.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, for me, just in my perspective, like if I ever had a kid at 46, it could still happen.
Hmm.
I mean, I
Oh, it could
still,
happen.
I'm
It could
still,
happen.
that's all I'm saying. Um, you know, um, I think, I think understanding, like you said, you don't want to be your kid's friend yet, but understanding,
Hmm.
like, look, how is my kid going to be set up what if I left this world tomorrow? What if I left this
Hmm.
world 10 years from now? Like, am I going to have this, and this? Did I teach them? So, as a father, I think it's extremely important to take on that role as a father, but also a mentor, a teacher. Like,
Yeah.
look at the lessons that your dad taught you and look at where you are now,
Hmm.
right? We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not
No,
even guaranteed 5 years from now. So it's like,
no,
as a
we're not
as a
guaranteed an
man,
hour from now,
we're not even
technically.
guaranteed an hour from now. You're absolutely correct. And as a man, at least the way I think, did I do all I could? And did I prepare my child enough, like, for marriage? Did I get them
Yeah.
into, like, the church? To me is extremely important. I see these kids all the time at my church, just today, and they're all, some of them are young and they get married young, and I think that's awesome because that's all they know is that little enclave of the church
Yeah.
community. So
Yeah.
they've had that inbred in them, but
Hmm.
also as their parents, they set up a good foundation for them
Yeah.
where, and I don't know, I just think that if doesn't matter how old you are in life, but just understanding the responsibilities of being a dad. It's easy to make a kid, but to actually create the kid,
Yeah.
making and creating are two different things. Making a kid
Yeah.
is like one thing, but
Hmm.
creating that person in your likeness and your image,
Yeah.
that takes work.
Yeah, for sure.
Wouldn't
Definitely.
you say?
A hundred
What do you
percent.
what do you think the biggest challenges that fathers face in 2024 as we approach the a newer decade and beyond? What do you think the biggest challenges are?
I mean, there's a lot of different things, but safety, trafficking, like you can go that route with things, and all those are real problems, and they're not going away. And so that's a big thing. And let's be honest, most guys can't take care of themselves. And how you gonna take care of your family if you can't take care of yourself? And so that's something to watch out for. And just like we said before, it's the same old thing. The phones and the access that they have at such a young age is a problem. Now there are some great parents out there that can limit, and they're called helicopter parents, and I don't think a helicopter parent's bad in certain areas. So they can control the access on the phone and the apps and stuff, which you have to do. I agree with it. And it's a job in itself because you have to stay vigilant on it,
I bet.
because the second that they have access to the internet through an app or anything, they're just getting attacked.
Yeah, I bet.
Like there's just millions of probes out there trying to just get it. And some kids that don't have a strong either one parent or two involved in their life, they're easy pickings for a predator or something like that. And it's not crazy because I know a few people where they tell me what their kids who are young deal with every single day when they turn their phone on. Every day. Just solicitations every day. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. I am not looking forward to that. And I will do my best to limit that until they're way older. They have to have
Yeah.
a phone for security and to call me and if you're in trouble, whatever. But this whole all the apps and all the stuff and the bullying that goes on in school. Listen, I've
Yeah.
said this before, I got heat for it. I'm a fan of bullying to a degree. I like hazing to a degree. We grew up on that. I think it builds character, it builds community and like brotherhood and a real team atmosphere, which is good. But they take it to the next level with this stuff, and it's like now you have strangers like sending you messages and you're already in a bad headspace, and it spirals out of control, and a lot of kids can't handle it, and I don't, it's not their fault.
It's not because you can't fight back because you don't know who
Nope.
they are because people
No.
hide behind their computer.
Of
I mean,
course.
back in the day, someone picked on you, you could at least confront that person and then
Yeah.
see what's up. But people hide behind their keyboards.
Yeah.
And I think society is the biggest challenge that father faces. I think, from an
A
educational
hundred percent.
standpoint, what
Hundred
kind of
percent.
kids you gonna put your first off, inflation. So you gotta think about how I'm gonna feed my kid,
Mm-hmm.
buying a place, interest rates, food, inflation, education. Like, where am I gonna put my kid that's safe? I mean, you have boys identifying as girls using a women's bathroom, and then we've heard in cases in Virginia about assaults. So it's like, how do I prepare my girls? Like, if I had a daughter, like, what's the best position for my daughter to be in? Like, what do I do as a parent? And that's what we talked about last week with values. And we just stressed values, 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 values. What
Yeah.
your values are going to kind of dictate how you parent your child, but also where you set them up for success. What frame of reference are you going to use, or what lens are you going to look at? Say, hey, this is the best path for my son or my daughter. Is that pretty fair to say?
Yeah, and it's hard, man. There's a lot of gray areas now. We didn't have this.
No.
We definitely didn't have this stuff. So it's all uncharted waters, but like you have no map. You are literally pioneering a space that I have no experience in. I have nobody to really talk to that has experience. It's like, okay, I guess we're just gonna go for it and figure it out as we go. And it's hard, man. It's hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially too, I think it's worth noting, when it comes to the family unit, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of families are challenged now. So that means the roles of the mother and the father
Yeah.
are, there are times where, you know, without my mom knowing it, she took on both the mother and the father role because, my
Yep.
dad, I saw my dad a couple times a week growing up, that was part
Mm-hmm.
of the arrangement and whatnot. And, I think therein lies the challenge as well. You know, not to get deep, but I
Mm.
feel like it's a good space for us to have this conversation. Like, what do you think the challenges are, right, for a father going through a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
going through certain challenges? How do you ensure that your values and your vision of how you raise your kids don't get impacted by outside um, circumstances?
You have no control of what the outside is gonna do, but what you have control is what you do with your time with them. And that's why it's super important to have and stick to your values, whatever they may be, and just always do it with your kids. Obviously, try to have the parents be on the same page. If you guys
Right,
can be on the same page, yes, it makes life a hell of a lot easier. But most people aren't that are in that situation. They might be like, I don't know, 60% on the same page, but what about that other 40? All you can control is when they're with you. So when they're with you, it's traditions, it's certain things that you want to, repetitious with them and just keep doing it. Like we're going to
right,
sit down for dinner, no TV on, no phones, and we're going to talk. That's big. And we're just going to be together. It's something as simple as that. And then they get that. Now, it could be the polar opposite when they're with the other. It is what it is. And when they're with you, you got to probably reel them back in and then get them back on your track. That's the best you could do is show them when they're with you and when they're with your home. We don't like to call it visiting. It's, mommy's home and daddy's home.
right,
Both are your homes. As long because I got great advice. They're not going to figure out the parents' relationship. They're too young. Their minds can't work like that. All they
right,
care about is their relationship with you and their relationship with the mom.
right,
If those are solid, that's fine. But you can't control what's going to happen when they're with, we'll use the mom as example. You can only control when they're with you. So make the best of it and be present. That's the only thing I think that should be stressed enough. If you want
right.
them a certain way, you got to try your best and just don't waver.
But I think another challenge that we didn't talk about that you just unraveled is that no one knows how to be present these days.
Present means different to people. So people will say they're present and everyone's definition is different. My definition is way different than other people's.
Right.
Very different. Like, oh, I'm
Same here.
here. Yeah, you're here. You're here. But where are you?
Right.
You're on your phone. You're at work. You're sending emails. You're over there. You're God knows what else, shopping online. Yo, that is not present. Sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. That is not present. Put the phone down, be with your kids.
And I'm not sorry saying it. I agree. Like, look, people don't know how to set boundaries anymore. It's like
No, because everyone
when
gets
I'm home,
butthurt over it.
it's crazy. Like if it were me, and I mean, I work for myself, and I get it, and the mistakes I made
Mm-hmm.
working in corporate America, I'd be like, look,
Yep.
from this time, I ain't checking my email. If I have to put an out of office sign on my email, Say, hey, I will answer emails at 8 o'clock.
Yep.
Guess what? Nothing is that important. Because what I
I hear
think
you.
is going to happen is that as the kids get older, as you get older, that inverse relationship comes where now the kids don't want anything to do with you. And you're like, well, I got all this free time and I did all this, but yeah, but you missed all this in between.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you're going to kick yourself in the rear end saying, boy, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that.
When I
That's
took
fine.
over that real estate office, day
Yeah.
one, when I was introducing myself, because I came in there like a bat out of hell. They weren't used to that. And I said, listen, there's one thing. From 5:30 to 7:30, 2 hours. I don't care if the office is burning down. Don't call me, don't text me, email me. It's fine.
Right.
Or wait till 7:31. It's all good. I'm back on.
Right, right, right,
That's
right, right, right.
that's like dinner, bath, like playtime, bedtime routine. That doesn't get touched at all. That stays. And if you don't like it, I don't give two shits. I don't care. That's my time with them. Period.
Yep. And you know what, Greg? They may not realize it now, but you said through osmosis, the kids are going to remember when they were kids how you were always there for dinner. And
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be no matter what level of success they obtain in their life, when they
Mm-hmm.
get into their careers, they're going to remember, hey, you know what? No one's too
Yeah.
busy for family time. And I
Yeah.
think people use I'm busy as a way to get out of family time, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's like people want to have a kid, but they don't really incur the responsibilities of having a kid. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
But also, it's everyone's definition of family is different. So
That's
all
right.
these words now, everyone thinks differently. So if you're gonna hook up with somebody and try to do this, you have to make sure all those definitions line up. Oh, you
Right.
want to have a kid? I want to have a kid. Okay, we're good. Like, no, you got to break that down because there's a lot of moving parts to it, and sometimes these things don't reveal themselves till it's too late.
Right.
Obviously,
Right.
and it's hard. It's hard.
It is hard, and you can't really say, boy, people should wait to till they have later in life to have kids. It might be true in some circumstances it's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
really tough to say, what when the right time is. I think it's all
Yeah,
dependent upon the individual. I know me
of course.
personally,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have done it. I think now I could do it, but I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have done it like not even 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
I mean, in our 20s, I
So
couldn't have done it, or even
yeah,
early 30s, I couldn't have done it. You know, so it's you're right. It's but everybody's definition. A lot,
everybody's
I
different.
think, my personal opinion, a lot of people, both guys and girls, have kids just to check a box on a list. Oh, I'm a career person, check. I make X amount, check. I have a house, car, a vacation house, kids, check, check, check. It's just like, hey, look, on paper, you look like $1 million. Oh, this couple's balling, they're rocking out, it's great. And they're fucking miserable and they hate each other and the kids are fucked up. Well, paper doesn't translate to real life most of the time. So it doesn't. I think people have them for the wrong reasons. Not everybody, but a lot do.
I agree. I agree. You see
And
that?
people stay selfish. When you have kids, your life is different now. It has to be. It is not about you anymore. And I think people are a lot of guys do this too. They're unwilling to give up certain things, even temporarily. And that's another cause of problems. And same, there's girls too that do that.
And I was working in DC in an urban area before, for briefly, and I was working in some really undeveloped. And Washington DC is an awesome town. Like, if anybody has never been there, whoever's listening around the world, Washington DC, no matter the strife that's going on right now and the thickness of the tension,
Mm,
is a wonderful city. And I'm so thankful for the 6.5 years I lived there. But I also saw where people were incentivized to have children that didn't have the means to have children
mm-hmm.
because the government subsidized a lot of their
Yeah.
lifestyle, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. I mean, but also, I think when it comes to those types of communities, it's like, what's the incentive? Okay, I have a kid, the government subsidizes half of it, but then what? How about like encouraging these people to find employment, maybe find education, maybe do stuff to make it better for these people? And I'm not gonna say one political party is better than the other, but I feel like they'll go into these communities that are challenged and they will, because it's not about race, it's about just, economic conditions and communities that
It's
people live
all.
in. Because
Yep.
you've got everybody that lives there, right? It's like I feel that these people, when it's election time, they're going to say what they want to say just to get their vote. It's like,
Of
telling a
course.
girl you love her just so you can hook up with her, right? It's the oldest
Hmm.
guy thing, right? And it's like, okay, after you tell people what you're going to do, nothing still gets done. And I take Baltimore, Maryland as an example. For people that have never been to Baltimore, Sabatino's in Little Italy, one of the best Italian restaurants I've ever had in my life. It's phenomenal. But Baltimore is such a great city. Old architecture, the people are awesome. But then you go and you see like people in 2024 that shouldn't be living the way they're living.
Mm.
And you think to yourself, why haven't things been done? Why aren't business incentivized to go into these communities, build businesses, create jobs? Like, why is that? Why are these cities like Detroit? Detroit's another city that is,
Oof.
you know, in the toilet, and it's like
Yeah.
it's sad. But you see people in these communities that still have kids, but the government subsidizes it. But their conditions don't change, and I don't think that's fair for the people having the kids because they don't really know any better. It's like you would think
Yeah.
like, well, wear a condom or you shouldn't have sex or you shouldn't have children. But, you know, what you know is what you know.
Yeah.
And I think society, no matter where you are living in life, is the biggest challenge that doesn't matter what race, religion, creed, whatever you are. Society, I think, is the biggest challenges that fathers or soon to be fathers face. And how do you navigate that?
Yeah. I agree with you. I
That's my
agree.
long-winded third cup of coffee
Yeah.
explanation as a society, and
It's
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 really
hard. It's hard.
it. And you can't say it's a race thing because it's not fair. It's not a religion thing because it's not fair. It is a American thing. It is an
Hmm.
everything. And this is another thing that really kind of aggravates me is that I remember Greg not so long ago. Race wasn't really an issue.
It
I
wasn't
lived in
where
New
I'm
York. We
from.
lived.
I
We're New
mean,
Yorkers.
yeah, it wasn't like it is now.
It wasn't.
I had the luxury of growing up in Nurse Shell. It's a huge melting pot.
Yeah,
Went to school with everybody. Everybody's different. I had Muslims and Jews and Christians and Catholics and white and black and brown. We had everything. And you know what? Accents, which that's how I'm good understanding certain people because I grew up like that. Like everyone, it was huge. It was like the UN at my school was awesome. I
it's
wouldn't
great.
change a thing with that. It was
Nope.
great. It was great.
Nope. I grew up in the lovely town of Poughkeepsie, and
Poughkeepsie.
we had it all. We had
Yep.
it. We had it
Grateful
all.
for that.
I am so grateful for that. And you
Hmm.
see people now that like they everything is a race thing. Everything is a this
Everything.
thing or is it that thing. Man,
Hmm.
like
Everything's polarized now, and it's
it's
just
just
pick a side. Like I'm not picking shit. How about leave me alone and let me just live my life? I don't have to do anything. Just don't talk to me.
it's really sad.
It is.
It's
It
a
is.
really sad world. And I fear that your kids may not have that same freedoms that we had where we could experience like I mean gay friends, but I had trans friends. They were
Yeah,
awesome. I
we
had a
had
great time.
every
Laverne,
type
remember
of friend.
Laverne?
We had every type of friend. It's all
It was
good. It
great.
was all good.
Dude,
We
she
had
would crush.
zero problems with that.
Oh, it was awesome. Dude, she would crush karaoke.
Yeah.
She would crush karaoke.
Yep.
And I'm like, and it was awesome. Like we were friends with everybody, and we even had
Never
this
had a problem.
discussion.
Never had a
Never had a
problem.
problem. I don't care what someone does in their personal life, as
Neither
long
do
as
I.
you are a good human being and you do right by people. I don't care. It's not my
Do right
business.
by me. I'll do right by you. I'll
That's
treat you the
it.
way you treat me. I'm not shoving any of my shit down your throat. I don't want anything
No,
shoved down mine. It is all good. It's all good.
no.
I just want
And
people more to have their facts when they go to debate.
well, yeah,
Just learn some simple facts, please. Instead of just taking sound bites that you don't know anything about. It's a
well,
big, big
right.
thing.
Well, it's a distortion of the facts as well because again, depending on what you believe or what you think, I think there's
Mm,
a propagandist movement going on. And,
Always.
I think when you have the major networks, putting all this
Mm.
stuff out there, and,
Yeah.
it becomes a bigger, and again, society facing, what is the truth? Like, as a
Hmm.
father, how do you tell your kids the truth? Where does the truth come from? What if your little girl say, "Daddy, this channel said this, channel said that. What's right?" I mean, your kids look to you like
Well, they'll
they
know.
depend on
Like,
you.
that's all just marketing, money, and opinions. Listen, you can get your news source from several different places
Right.
and then form your own opinion from what you think. Don't just listen to one and then, oh, okay, I'm doing that. Like, no. Get it from a bunch of different places and then figure it out.
Exactly.
Because they're all just trying to
Exactly.
steer you into one thing or another. Make your own decisions. But that's another thing. People don't want to do that anymore either.
No, well,
They're
because
all sheep, man.
and it's been
Follow
going
the
on in the
herd.
colleges. It's been going on in
Follow the
colleges
herd.
for years. Greg.
Could you imagine trying to get to class and they stop you? They won't let you go to class. Good luck with that. Get out of my way. I just want to go to school. I just want to go to school. How about this? You're
Yeah.
lucky to even go to school. Some places don't even have schools.
And
And you know what?
I
You want to protest? That's fine. Go over there and protest. Can I
yeah.
get to class, please? I just want to go to class.
Well, if people love certain places in this world so much, then I think we should be able to take those people and place them there so they can experience what that life is like. And then they can come back here and maybe have a different tune. I don't know. It's just a thought I had, but I think
I'm
it's
I'm all for trips. I'll charter a flight to Afghanistan and all those places. Go ahead, go. Go to like Indonesia and go to all these other
yeah.
places. That's a hot spot, by the way. A lot of stuff going on there. Go to these places and let me know. I'll fund a trip. Go ahead.
Well, what's
It's a
funny?
one way ticket.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think the subway goes to Kabul.
Well, shout out to NYPD because they stopped a guy last week who they stopped him in a car and he had a ton of stuff on him looking to do some damage. He had like gear, vests, multiple guns, rifles, handgun. He had everything. And he had a lot of intent. So good job, guys. It's
That's why
all
we love
coming,
our.
man. That's why
That's
we
why we
say it's
love
all
our.
coming.
That's why we love our policemen and women. They
Yep.
selflessly put their lives on the lines
Yeah.
every day,
Yep.
and you know, again, um,
They found
society
8 ISIS
is.
people that came across our border on an app, by the way. They have an app in their phone, these people. I don't even know who pays for their phone bills. My phone bills is expensive. Who pays for them? But anyway, so 8 ISIS came across. I think 2 or 3 went to LA, 2 or 3 went to New York City, and the other 2, don't quote me, another one in the middle, major. I don't know if it's Chicago. I'm not quite sure. But thank God they caught them because they were all going to do some stuff too. It's like, it's all here. That's just
Oh,
8 people that they know of.
oh, it's not even June yet, or I'm sorry,
No,
it's not even July yet,
no.
and
Yep.
it's scary. It's scary. So
I
again,
mean,
as a father
NYPD's on
too, yeah,
super high alert,
right.
super high alert every day, on edge every day because they have to be, because they can't mess up once. These people could just take their time and make
Oh,
many
easily.
mistakes, but you can't make one when
No,
you're trying to protect. So it's hard, man.
yeah,
All these
no,
things.
it sure is, and oh man, it's such a. We could talk about this for hours.
So as a parent or as a father, what are you gonna do? Okay, you're out at, I don't know, you're out at Publix or you're out at Trader Joe's. Something happens. What are you gonna do? Do you have anything on you to protect yourself? Do you know where your exits are? It's all this basic shit that you talk to somebody, they're like, "Oh, you're crazy. Like you're so extreme." Like, okay. I mean, you put me in a Publix. I mean, that's a problem. At least, one person can cause a problem in a big space like that.
And it
You're
has.
shopping with your kids. What are you gonna do?
What about on an airplane? I know one of the things that I do, and now whoever flies and sees me on a plane will know. I always order 2 cups of coffee. I have one that I drink and one that I keep
That's
because
a
I
yeah.
figured
Yep.
if something goes down, whether it's hot or cold, it's going right in someone's eyes, and I'm going for your throat, and
That's
then
a waste of coffee, Mike.
you're done. It's Dunkin' Donuts, so
Oh
and
yeah,
it's a medium,
yeah.
and it's medium roast. I mean,
Mm,
if they were grinding
gross.
the beans, yeah. Well,
Dirt water.
I'd rather waste coffee than like a bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
But I can't
But
drink
yeah,
out of a
you're
plane
right.
anyway.
Like, what are you gonna do in a closed
What are you
space?
doing?
Even
What are you
more.
doing on a plane? You should always know your surroundings. If you're gonna like, as a man, you always sit facing the door so you can protect your lady. I hope
Yeah.
men do that. I don't think they do that anymore, but I
No.
think there's still some women that appreciate that. It's like you got to always be thinking.
There's a fun game that I was taught that um is cool. Like when you go into a place, restaurant or whatever, you do your scan, you know what's going on, and then when you get your seat, play a game, be like, try to remember like five people, what they're wearing, which direction they're facing, and like little details. And
Right?
it's kind of cool because you're training your brain. Like, okay, there was three guys at that table. There's a guy and a girl here. There's a table of girls there. There's a table of guys here. Like at least like silly things. But people don't even take the time to know what's behind them or where the exits are. And you have kids, it's not about you anymore. You got to get them. You got to create distance, get them out of there, and then figure things out. And sometimes you can't get out of there. So then now what?
Yeah.
You got to
And again,
shield them. You got to protect them.
100%.
And
100%. And fatherhood is something that we take very serious here at
yeah,
Empowerment
it's a
with
hard
family
question.
values.
It's a hard thing to think about, but it's a
Family values
reality
still exist.
nowadays. Yeah.
And it starts with you
Yeah.
and I, Greg. We start this, and then hopefully people that listen will start it and bringing family
Yeah.
values back.
Yeah. And there's a handful of really good companies out there that help train like parents and families and stuff like that. I made a shout out the other week to Mike Glover. I know he's going through some shit, but his company, Fieldcraft Survival, they teach all courses like this. It's for the moms, the dads, families, like self defense, all sorts of things, which is really good. Tim Kennedy does a lot of stuff with this. It's with Sheepdog Response. It's all these are like top companies that help the everyday individual in everyday situations. It's not all military. It's not all like special forces stuff. It's for the average person, which I think is needed. It's needed.
Yeah. And I also think, too, again, to go back, if you believe, then you have a father that's above, right? And the Bible is the ultimate playbook. I think it's the ultimate reference tool. It's stuff that goes back thousands and thousands of years, and that stuff still rings true to this day. And a lot of it, whether you believe or not, I think when you look for wisdom, you look at Proverbs, you can look at Psalms, you can look at other things, you understand the history of civilization, understand the history and the truths that we were believed. And again, as a father, you want to provide truths to people. We live in our truths are what they are. That's what the empowerment's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I share those truths, and I think the truths get distorted these days, obviously what's going on in the world. But for me, you know as I look forward, the Bible always says, forget about the past, just don't look backwards, just fix your eyes on what lies straight ahead,
Yeah. Yeah.
because doesn't need to look backwards. We can look. Anyone can look back on their life saying, "Gee, I did this, I did this, I did that, I did that." But it's
Yeah.
done. What's done is
Yeah.
yesterday is done,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even an hour ago is done.
Yep.
48 minutes and
Yeah.
12 seconds is done. Now we're on minute 48:15. What's done is done. The past is the past. It's fix your eyes on what lies ahead. And like you
Yeah.
said, being present, living in your truth, passing those down to your children. It all, for me, I would use the Bible as a reference tool, just as how I've grown in my faith over the last 3 years. Um, and it's something that, as a believer, you believe that there is a spiritual
Mm-hmm.
force or a father in heaven that does love us, forgive us, and it's our job to show compassion and kindness and mercy, but also realize, discipline your children, discipline
Yeah.
yourself,
Structure.
right? Structure. So you don't become a hypocrite, and that's straight out of the Bible as well. So don't say one thing and do another.
Yeah. You're the ultimate
Hey,
teacher to them. They're watching every little thing,
that's
whether
it.
it's a gesture, whether you huff and puff, whether you curse or whatever. Get frustrated with something. Well, when they get frustrated with something, you can't get upset because they're watching you and they're used to seeing you do that. So like every little thing.
Exactly.
So, but it's cool. Like Farrah's getting older now, so she knows like, oh, what are you doing at the gym tonight? Like that's cool.
That's
Like
funny.
I like things like that, and she knows like, oh, are you and Crazy Mike gonna be on TV again? Like it's cool, things like that.
I don't know how
So,
crazy Mike is. That's one of your other buddies.
yeah.
Uh,
So it's nice to see things like that.
any final thoughts, Greggy T, as we wrap this special day up for Father's Day? Anything you want to shed some light on? Wrap it
No, I'm
up
just
for
gonna be
us, man.
positive. I'm not gonna be negative. Just enjoy your kids and just be there for them and be a good dad and be a good husband, be a good partner, whatever you want to call it, and stick to your non-negotiables, like we always say, and just try to set the best example as possible. Just be there for your kids because that's the only way things can slowly get better and change is, you know, a couple more good kids come through and then a couple more after that and a couple more and next thing you know, it's a good group. And then hopefully that group expands when they have kids and it's just
Yeah.
it take but that's why they say it takes generations to change things back. Like, oh, the country can change with like a president. No. No, it takes
Yeah.
generations now. We've fucked things up so much. It would take generations to get things number one back
Yeah.
and then build upon that. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
You can wreck it in a year or two or
Well,
four, but it's going to take 5 times that to get back to better. So,
yeah. I think that's a great way to wrap it up there, man.
yeah.
Um, and just like this podcast, it starts with you and I, and hopefully passes
Yeah.
down, and
Yeah.
we can make use of it.
One little
And
thing.
just one little thing, and just speak your truth. Speak your truth. Teach your truth.
Yeah.
Preach your truth. Those three things I think are very important, whatever they are. I mean, even if
Mhm.
I disagree with you on a lot of things,
Yeah.
whatever your truths are,
Yeah.
speak it and pass it down. And hopefully the frame of reference that you look at things is healthy for your child.
And it's totally cool to disagree. You can disagree with somebody, it's okay. That doesn't mean you don't have to talk to them or don't be friends with them again or get mad at them or them mad at you or look at you or judge you any different. No, no, no. You
No,
can still be cool as shit together and disagree. That's what makes the world go around. And a lot of things got lost with that and COVID and
of
all
course.
that stuff that we spoke about. It's like, wow, whatever happened to just pure friendship and unconditional friendship, unconditional love? You don't have to agree with everything somebody does or says as long as they respect you and they're cool with you. It's all good. I don't
And
understand that.
let's just say this too: not everyone deserves a trophy. Let's be
Yeah.
clear about that.
Yeah. That's a bad example to give kids. Bad example. Yeah. I'll leave that one alone. It's bad. There's
Exactly.
no strive for greatness. There's no strive for, I want to be MVP because I want that trophy. There was like
Right.
2 trophies growing up, like championship and like an MVP. How do you think these people would play if like I'm getting a trophy no matter what? Like what?
Right.
I'm just gonna coast. There's no accelerating or excelling your skills and going to the next level, and none of that would happen if it was all just like mediocre stuff.
Well, there was only one championship I ever won. Even if I never won it, but just to say I wrestled for it. That was the
Mm,
NWA World Title, and you know, was knocking on the door. I'm not saying it's over, but I'm saying,
mm-hmm.
as a kid, it's like, you set your sights on something. Oh, I don't want to get like, it's like whether it's a trophy in that respect or
Mm-hmm.
finishing in first place, like you said, where's that strive for greatness? Because then you're teaching your kid that you're entitled. Oh, I played basketball. I deserve this. And
Yeah.
you're seeing that in society now where
Yeah.
people think they deserve something
Mm-hmm.
without even earning it. And it
Yeah.
kind of just takes away from the first place finisher or the champion or whatever it is that busted their butt. Hey, you want my job? Come take it. You want this? Come take it. Even as we work for ourselves now, I want that. I'm going to go take it. Not like, no, I deserve this because I worked at a high end
Yeah.
facility for 20 years. No,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
out there. I'm going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, Greggy
Anyway.
T, uh, great episode today.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old fatherhood.
Good old fatherhood, you know. A special shout out to our fathers that are here, that are no
Mm-hmm.
longer with us, that live on, fathers all over the world. deadbeat dads, it is Father's Day, and just realize as dads, you play a pivotal role in your child's development. Don't take
Yeah.
that for granted.
Yeah. And it's never too late to turn it around. So, and shout out to all our boys that have kids. So, have fun today.
Agreed. Enjoy
Yeah, man.
yourself. Greggy T, that was a great way to end it. I'm going to sign off here from the free state of Florida. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Empower Man podcast.
Yes,
Click
sir.
like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and check out my amazing bio on our website. And also, kids, when you look at our reels on Instagram, give them a like.
Yeah. Mike's doing them. All right. Yeah, man. Be safe, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. And feel free to start, like Mike said, reaching out to us. We're getting some cool topics, inquiries. People want to start talking about different topics. And if you have something in mind, let us know, and we'll do our best to tackle it. So it's all good.
God
All
bless
right.
everyone.
Yeah. Later.